going as fast as he can go, and the stop and goes have to be under the green, not under the yellow.
But is that an example of the kind of learning curve that Mansell will face here in the IndyCars as he learns slightly different rules and different procedures?
Yes, it could be. You see where you see all the yellows right now, for example? That's what Mansell saw. Now, whenever he got to the turns where the yellows are, he's not allowed to pass. After you pass that waving yellow flag, there's no longer a waving yellow flag, then it's okay to pass and race again.
Now we come to the situation where he rolls into the pits. Gary Gerould waits for him. Gary?
We wait with the team, Paul. He comes gliding in. It won't be just a stop and go. It'll be a stop and fuel and tires. They were within 3 laps of their designated first stop. They've decided that they'll make that stop and go ahead and change everything. Now, I don't think this is going to hurt them. They should be in the window still for a 2-stop race. He's on the Jackson flying. We've got him just under 16 seconds.
Mansell back into the action on lap number 19. 65 laps the scheduled distance, and as Gary Gerould pointed out, based on the tactics a little early there, cold tires coming out really got on the brakes hard.
Yeah, he's got to adjust his brake bias just a little bit. Again, this is his first race. I'm not making excuses for him, but he's got an awful lot to learn. And I think he's done awfully good by sitting on the pole today. But we watch him as he goes along, learn a bunch.
So at the front of the field, the situation changes again. Fittipaldi is in front. Robbie Gordon has begun to close up. That's Gary Brabham that sits behind him. He has been lapped in the field, but he certainly is a favorite of this Australian crowd. By the way, not his first time in an IndyCar. He had a test in the Porsche IndyCar at the Nürburgring a couple of years ago. So here is Fittipaldi out in front of the field, lap number 19. He should be due into the pits at any time, as should Robbie Gordon. Mario Andretti is now the big hope for his team as he sits in third place. Arie Luyendyk is fourth, and with that stop, Mansell fifth. Back in Surfers Paradise as the leader, Emerson Fittipaldi, roars toward the Penske pits for his first stop. Here's Jack Arute.
Emerson Fittipaldi getting the service from the Roger Penske team. They are going to change all 4 tires. They're going to take on fuel, and they're also going to remove some debris from the left front wing. Waiting for a full load of fuel. No major changes. And Fittipaldi is down and away. Let's go to Gary Gerould.
Robbie Gordon just left, 15.3 on his stop. No chassis changes, just tires and fuel. Paul?
Robbie Gordon coming out right behind Fittipaldi, and Fittipaldi on these terribly hard tires here. In fact, most of the drivers, most notably, though, Mansell has had trouble adjusting to the tires here. There is Mansell, though, sitting up at speed as he comes around Gordon and gets in behind Fittipaldi again. Mansell has been on the fly. Remember, his tires are up to full temperature.
Yes, that's right, Paul. I'm just going to bring that up. His stop-and-go penalty didn't make any difference because he did a pit stop within about a lap, maybe 2 laps when Emo did it. And when Emo came back out, Mansell's tires were hot, and look what he did. Right on by.
Mansell, just while the pit stops were going on, he came out in 5th place behind Luyendyk, and he was able to get around Luyendyk very quickly, and now cutting his way up through the field. Marco Greco had a problem earlier. He was sitting nose on into the tire barrier. It looks like the tires caught the car, though, and no damage nor injury. In fact, he might even be able to get restarted.
Racing tires are thermostatic. I want to explain that just a little bit. When they're cold, they don't grip as well normally. Sometimes you get tires that do like rain tires are good when they're cold, but these type of tires that are smooth and no tread in them most often don't get good adhesion until they really get worked up good. And early in the race, when you see the guys warm up, they're whipping back and forth. They're trying to work that rubber to get it hot.
Here is Mario Andretti in for his first stop of the race. He's had a clean run to this point and has been in contest at the front of the field the full way. Tires changed, methanol fuel going into the tank. Car looks clean and good. And finally, Mario is waved away. So Mario comes back into the fight, falters just a little bit. Finally, the engine catches, and Mario in this curved pits alongside the Pacific Coast, or the Gold Coast Highway. It's part of the racetrack. And Mansell now running alone in the lead of the race with Fittipaldi in 2nd place. Let's go to Jack.
Arie Luyendyk getting his first service of the afternoon, taking on 4 tires. The crew has gone to work very quickly. You'll notice that the longest period of time is involved in taking on a full load of fuel. They want to make absolutely certain, all the drivers, that they get a full load.
Luyendyk came into the pits in 5th place. as now the fuel window open for everybody. And most of the teams have already completed their first stops of the day, though Eddie Cheever has managed to carry his number 69 car well beyond everyone else and has yet to make a stop, as does Hiro Matsushita. They'll be both due in the pit shortly. And with the exception of Gary Brabham, everybody else in and out. And with those pit stops, Nigel Mansell moves back to the front of the field, now being chased by Fittipaldi and Gordon. There's Fittipaldi, Gordon just behind him.
Yes, and again, I just want to explain that on Mansell's penalty, the stop-and-go penalty for passing Embo under the yellow flag, didn't really hurt him. He was able to come back and gain that because he did his pit stop, and he pitted at lap 19, where Embo pitted on lap 21. So it really came out even, not a penalty, but he's leading, and that's the reason he's leading the race again.
Mansell in front. Back on the pit straight once again. Mansell looking very strong here today. Starting on the pole, dropping back to fourth place, and then moving back to the front of the field. So Nigel Mansell leads this field to the joy of the crowd. On a global scale, Mansell is one of the best known and best paid athletes. In England, he's the national hero. Last fall, his decision to leave Formula One shocked and surprised.
Of this season.
To see the face on the TV screen, coming at you every Sunday. See the face on the billboard. Well, that man is me. On the cover of the magazine, there's no question why I'm smiling. You buy a piece of paradise, you buy a piece of me.
There's a lot of things that is totally new to me, although I've been a race car driver for all my life. And I'll be real happy if I can equip myself well. And obviously it'd be super if I could win some races. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, the championship takes care of itself. I mean, any driver who actually accumulates enough points through the year will win the championship. And I don't even think about that, and I won't.
Nigel appears to enjoy driving a car that requires more driving skill with less technology. But even more than that, with his wife Roseanne and his family, he already fits into the more casual life of the Indy cars as compared with the tension-filled world of Formula One. And he had a great time at SeaWorld just up the road here from Surfers. So at the front of the field, it's Mansell, followed by Fittipaldi and Gordon. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Do you believe this? In Australia, you've seen him at the Indy 500. That is the Marion County Sheriff's Office motorcycle drill team from Indianapolis, Indiana. Sheriff Joe McAtee brought the whole group over and their motorcycles. And they put on a great show, putting on a terrific show now, too. On the circuit, you caught a glimpse there of Roberto Guerrero. You're back at the front of the field now. Nigel Mansell has a 3.5-second lead over second place Emerson Fittipaldi. Robbie Gordon sits in third. In fourth place, Mario Andretti, followed by Arie Luyendyk, Teo Fabi in sixth, then Eddie Cheever. Then Bobby Rahal finally moving up, but he continues to work on Eddie Cheever a bit. Raul Boesel is ninth. In 10th is Roberto Guerrero. Buddy Lazier is 11th. Hiro Matsushita is 12th. In 13th is Stefan Johansson. Gary Brabham is 14th. 15th is Scott Goodyear. In 16th is Danny Sullivan, followed by Al Unser Jr., Scott Brayton, Ross Bentley, and Marco Greco. Paul Tracy is 21st. Robbie Buell, 22nd. Mark Smith, 23rd. And Jimmy Vasser is 24th. Let's go pit side. There's a question about how you actually enforce some of these stop-and-go rules, and maybe Jack Arute can get an update for us.
Paul, I've caught up with IndyCar official Billy Camphausen. And Billy, can you give us the official position on the stop-and-go penalty for Nigel Mansell?
Nigel received a stop-and-go penalty for passing under a yellow condition somewhere on the racetrack. He was called on a black flag and brought in. We assessed the penalty by a stop-and-go, and during that stop-and-go penalty, he can do anything under a normal pit stop condition.
So it's well within the rules for a team to decide to take advantage of the stop-and-go and change tires, add fuel, and make it longer.
It is purely up to them.
Paul?
Well, of course, the penalty in that case, not that severe, though it may show up at the end of the race because it did get him in just a little bit earlier. And here on this long circuit at 2.795 miles, Where that pit stop come could make a world of difference at the end. Danny Sullivan running 16th. Take a look at his heart rate. Little data update. Sometimes you'll get a glitch from the telemetry coming from the car, but he's just sitting right there in the mid 130s, low 140s. Channel 9 Australia supplying this heart chart to us.
You know, Paul, for ages, that's been just about typical of the way race drivers are. They don't really change much during the time of the race. Even when they get tired, they stay about the same.
Yeah, but if there's the ongoing question about race driver as an athlete, there's the evidence right there. Here's a fellow who sits the entire race at a very, very high heart rate. Robbie Gordon, third place. Car number 14, driving for A.J. Foyt. Under the watchful eye of Ford executive Michael Kranifus, who has really helped this driver come along.
The 92 Lola chassis, last year's chassis. Paul, you know, it's possible that's still going to be a good car in Indianapolis this year, the 92 compared to the 93.
Well, how many changes did really occur other than the lengthening of the car for safety between in the Lolas between last year's car and this year's car, Bob?
Well, every year there's changes made, aerodynamic changes that makes the cars faster, little tweaking on the suspension, things that just, if you add up 10/10, you get a whole. And so the new cars, all during the testing, said they were faster. But I'm beginning to wonder when I look at that 92 car.
But right now, on the 93 cars, the upgrades are very minute. Back with Mansell at the front of the field. Let's go to the Pennzoil pits. Teo Fabi is the driver there, and get an update from Gary Gerould.
I'll tell you what, Paul, I've been very impressed with Teo and his return now to IndyCar racing on a full-time basis for the Hall BDS team. He started 12th. This morning in the warm-up, they had the motor shut down at the end of the session. They had to trace an electronics gremlin, found some faulty wiring, got it corrected. He has worked his way up to 6th. Nothing dramatic, nothing flashy, but he is slowly working his way up through the field. One other footnote, Eddie Cheever, who stretched his pit stop further than anybody else, had to make an adjustment to his lap belts. They became partially unfastened. He got them back in the proper spot during his stop. He's running behind Fabi in 7th place.
So Fabi runs in 6th, Eddie Cheever in 7th. This is the driver in 8th place, Bobby Rahal. That is Cheever just ahead of him. And they have been going at one another rather constantly on the course for the last several laps. Remember that this race car that Bobby Rahal is in is the True Sports car of previous years. He's hired Don Halliday, as here comes Mansell into the pits, and this is totally unscheduled. Nigel Mansell comes into the pits. It was only 10 laps ago that he was there, Gary.
Only 10 laps ago, they've changed the rubber. We don't know why. It caught us by surprise. He now spins away.